I'll let you in on a little secret. Even when it seems like VTuber content creators are chronically online 24/7, most VTubers are actually not full-time content creators. In fact, many YouTubers you watch are probably not full-time either, or at least that's not their main source of income. But with streams 4 to 5 times a week and videos or shorts constantly coming out, it can get a little daunting to get started in this space. I'm gonna be peeling back the curtain a little bit and tell you how a day in the life of a VTuber is like, both as a full-time indie and then as an indie or agency VTuber with a full-time job. I'm Felynne, and I've been an agency VTuber in the past, and currently am an indie content creator with a VTuber model to represent myself. I would say my approach to VTubing started off as a hobby that I wanted to build into something more, so that it can fund itself plus open up opportunities for larger projects and events that I want to do eventually. Some people might say monetizing your hobbies will suck the fun out of it, and I would agree to a certain extent if you're not careful enough. That just takes time to learn though, and I do find monetizing to be one of the external motivations that makes me want to get better at a hobby. And to monetize, I gotta think about what kinds of videos my viewers would like to watch, and balancing that with topics that I have a lot of passion talking about. So during my time in an agency, I did more traditional VTubing content, such as doing activities that are somewhat expected of being a corpo VTuber, like streaming as often as I can, as that was the main focus of the content provided, and participating in events and conventions when instructed by management. Now, I have quite a few controversial topics and thoughts about the way standard VTuber agencies are structured, but that can be a video essay for another day. As an indie content creator now though, I stream less frequently as I want to focus more on creating scripted videos, such as this one, whether that is long form or shorts. This structure worked better for my schedule. Plus, I am planning topics that can be considered somewhat evergreen and be rewatchable in the future. While I really enjoy streaming and interacting live with viewers during my agency experience, the math was just not mathing in my brain. For the amount of hours I could afford to put into creating content under a corpo setting, the output and reward was just not there for what I wanted to achieve. I don't play multiplayer or single-player horror thrillers. I still don't know what ASMR is really about to this day. And I can't afford to jump in on the latest games on release day due to my schedule. And where I wanted to build a fan base from was completely, how should I say this? Not aligned with company direction, even though I emphasized this during the audition period. So my day in the life is going to be more structured than, say, someone who is just starting all this out as a hobby. So it won't be as casual as streaming to friends or doing it just for pure fun with no expectation of what comes out of it. I do have specific goals that I want to strive for as a content creator, so my hours dedicated to content creation are geared towards that. Going full-time content creation is not usually by choice, but by circumstances that are beyond your control. You end up hoping that your creator career can help at least keep food on the table before you get your feet back up with a more secure job. And it can be scary, like any other self-employed job. If you're not working on something related to this at any point in the day, you just feel like you're slacking off for some reason. During holiday breaks, I generally approach making content as if it was a full-time role. I usually batch my day into 3 working time frames: morning, early afternoon, and then late afternoon. I wake up at like 6 a.m. every day without an alarm and spend the time before I have breakfast to do a bit of exercise because I'll most likely be sitting down for the rest of the day, so it's just like an office job. During the morning slot, I mostly focus on admin work, like replying to business messages, making sure my calendar is up to date, drafting tweets, replying to friends, making thumbnails, or waiting rooms for upcoming streams, etc., etc. I also like to record vocals for song covers and capturing model footage for videos in the morning after a couple of vocal warm-ups. I then generally like to rest my voice for the afternoon, especially if I need to stream later that day. For the model footage, I also mix my audio during this time before I sync it back up with the raw video footage for video editing. Having presets here saves the process and helps speeds everything up. I'm also generally much more motivated to start new things during the morning hours. So I try to cram as much of the work as I need to during this time, including drafting titles and subtopics for videos. I also plan upcoming streams and find content like Pokemon TCG sets to open for upcoming months. Not even weeks, just months in advance. For lunch, I mostly make my own food nowadays. Back during the pandemic times, I liked ordering food delivery because I get to try out a variety of restaurants outside my walkable area. I have no car. I liked it when I got discounts because food delivery companies just wanted everyone to use their service. Here's 10%, here's 20%. Oh, buy one, get one. But now the prices have spiked and it costs like double the amount of what the original cost of the food was. Back to making my own food I go. My go-to meal for lunch is a bowl of warm noodles. It can range from frozen udon to chukamen and all the way to my favorite brand of instant noodles, the Nissin Demae sesame oil flavor. It is a classic. Of course, I'll have to make some meat like wontons or pork balls to go with it, and leafy veggies help balance it all out. Early afternoon is when I like to sit down and start editing videos. I like to split video editing into two buckets. The first pass and the actual editing part. The first pass is when I sweep through raw footage from start to finish and cut out all the bad takes and trim out the pacing of sentences, yada yada. A 30-minute recording can reduce down to like 12 minutes of usable footage. Hopefully, as time goes on, I'll get better at recording and won't need that many takes. Once I'm done the first pass, I generally don't like to proceed to the editing part within the same session. Sometimes I record several scripts at a time so I can do first passes for a few videos in one go. But if I don't have stuff in the queue, that means I just don't have enough scripts. So off I go to try to write some scripts. I have a whole Notion Kanban board that I list out all the topics I want to write about, what I'm currently scripting, and what's ready for video editing and upload. I am this close to setting up sprints so that I can track myself even more closely. But from professional experience, sprint planning and admin work for that takes up a lot of time on its own too. Scripting for a video is like the hardest part for me. Holy! You think you wrote enough for a 20-minute video, and then somehow it ends up being only 8 minutes long. Where did all that time go? Sometimes the ideas just come out non-stop, and then sometimes I have to yoink it out with giant pliers and it still won't budge. Which is why I like to make 2 blocks for the afternoon, because late afternoon is usually the time when I stream. Though I've been slowly creeping up the time to like 2 to 3 p.m. so it doesn't run late into dinner. We'll see. On non-streaming days, this block is mostly used to finish up whatever I didn't get to earlier in the day, such as continuing scripting or following up to emails. I'm probably the least productive during this time of day, because I'm like looking forward to showering and dinner, which is always the highlight of my day. Or I sneak in a few games of Overwatch just to take a break. On streaming days, I get ready around 30 minutes before stream time, making sure all of my software is up to date and I can run it smoothly for the stream. The app that I use to transfer the video footage for the handcam streams tends to brick once every few weeks, which is annoying, and I need to reinstall it every time that happens. For TCG pack opening streams, I already have the box out with shrink wrap removed, and I keep a small container off of the side of the table to put the wrappers in during the stream as I open them. This lets me easily clear out the garbage after stream without leaving a mess on the table or floor. During dinner, I don't usually think about my own content at this point, but I like watching videos and dramas during this time, like other YouTubers or anime, to get some inspiration about future topics or the style of editing of videos that I want to do. Okay, I'll admit it. I'm still working on stuff even though I'm not actively working on my own content. Content brain go brrr. I like to relax after dinner by playing a few games of Overwatch. Yes, the same one that you're thinking of. Yes, it is relaxing to me. It is like second nature now. Or if there's another game that I'm currently playing through, I'll continue that until I finish. I like to wrap everything up by roughly 10 p.m. so that I can get a good night's rest, which is apparently something unheard of for a lot of VTubers, but I just really like my sleep. I also very rarely nap during the day. Sometimes I write scripts during this block because of how my brain works. It likes to wear itself out right before bedtime, and now that I think about it, a lot of my better performing videos were scripted during this time. For days like things like after a pack opening stream, this would be the time for me to sort out all the cards, decide which ones I want to keep, and put into my collection by sleeving them individually, one after the other. And then for the bulk, I just place it in my bulk pile. I find it very zen just sorting out the cards in set order. It's kind of meditative in a way, and I like to reflect on the day during this time. So that's just like a rough flow of time for when I have a day off. But most days I have other duties that I need to do during the day. I basically have to remove and shift these blocks around so that I make room for higher priority things. Work takes up my morning and early afternoon blocks, and sometimes I have to push content creation related things to after dinner, like editing videos. I can still work on building up my socials during my breaks during the day, and I like to schedule videos and tweets to go out when I can't post live for a long time. Realistically, most days I'll only have just one block of time to work on VTubing content. I get a lot of friends telling me that I seem so busy all the time, and I think it's true to a certain extent. The downside of having such a rigid schedule is that it's very hard to plan sudden things that come up in less than a week's notice. But I do still leave wiggle room for collabs and other fun things in case I get invited to them, or if I'm hosting something myself. But I will limit the number of collabs I do in a week just so that I don't overwhelm myself. What I find super helpful is having a day in the week to completely detach myself from all work. No content, no job. That usually ends up being on a weekend, and I would go outside and touch grass while avoiding all the sunlight I can. This also helps me experience some fun things that I can bring back into my content as streams or videos. Or rants about how it was completely ignored by the boba shop manager. I am still upset about that. This does mean progress will be quite a bit slower, but I kind of accept that I can't output the same amount of content as other VTubers who are doing this as their full-time job, or those who don't need as much sleep as I do, or can take on more collabs per week without burning themselves out. Everyone has their own pace, and I am here for the long run, to build up that library of videos and streams that I can be proud to look back at months or years later. While I was in a VTuber agency, there's also additional work that's piled up on top of the usual content that I was producing, which was at least streaming 4 times a week for a few hours. I remember being very exhausted after these streams, so the evening slot is mostly gone from being too productive. But I'll still do things like preparing materials for upcoming conventions, recording lines and planning merch releases, as well as doing one-on-one meetings with my manager on a reoccurring basis. And these meetings would mostly take up my remaining evening slot due to the time zone differences. On average, this would only leave me with 4 workable slots for content outside of what was required from my agency. I would use this time to plan out future stream schedules, make stream thumbnails and titles as YouTube live streams need something eye-catching, plan out music as I was outputting a song cover every month. It was all fun work though, and I do miss not being able to do as much music-related content. And even though I was able to commission artists and video editors for some of the work like shorts, I still have to plan and script all of those before I can even send them off. Don't even forget about recording all that too. And finally, it's time to wrap up for the night. I like to browse a couple of cat videos on TikTok before I turn off the lights to rest. No, I don't spend multiple hours on shorts. It's really weird. I just watch 3 or 4 cat videos, lightly chuckle, and then make my way to dreamland. It's like my brain doesn't even have the capacity to endlessly scroll TikTok cat videos. And there you have it, a typical day in the life of a VTuber. Of course, everyone's experience can be a little different, but I hope this helps you understand my approach in making content for you. I'll probably also do a deep dive into how I edit and script my videos, because I've only touched the subject very briefly here. I didn't even take into account how I use things like Figma and Premiere Pro to make my videos a reality. So yeah, definitely I'll make another video on that. And if you have any other questions related to whatever I said in this video, just let me know in the comments down below. If you liked watching this video, check out this one about what I learned about being a VTuber content creator in 2025. Or this one that's recommended for you. I stream pack openings for TCGs like Pokemon on Twitch, and if you want to support the channel, consider joining the membership or other ways listed in the description box below. Bye for now!